Hey guys, my name is Cody Dykstra. I'm the Director of SEO Services here at VMD Services. Today we're going to run you through a couple key Google updates that have happened over the last year and a half or so that you can take advantage of and really make sure you're bolstering the power of your website, making sure that it's meeting up with what Google's wanting in these recent updates, and just giving you guys some tips to gauge on where you're at in the market, gauge how your website's performing. So the couple things that we're going to dive through is first zero-click searches and Google Core Web Vitals. So zero-click searches is something you've probably seen with Google. Google's bread and butter, of course, how they earn revenue are the ads and search results. That's a huge way they earn money. We all know that. It's in their best interest to keep you coming back to their website by giving you the best answer for your search, because it means you'll use them over other competitors and eventually click on their ads. It's the whole name of the game for them. So that's where these zero-click searches have come into place. So let's say you search a recipe. Maybe you search a step-by-step how-to type question. Google is starting to display within specific searches an answer to your question without you having to click through to a website. So here, let me move this giant bubble here just so you guys can see the rest of this. So what Google's doing is they're trying to keep users on their site without you clicking through to another website. So they're kind of taking away some search traffic that historically used to be there. Now there are some options to kind of take advantage of this and get yourself placed here. So we'll cover some of that. The Core Web Vitals update was a big thing here in 2021. What it's really been focused on is how efficiently your website loads, how long it takes for it to become usable for an end user. So again, we'll cover that. We'll cover how you can grade your website and some key areas to look out for to try and optimize how your website loads. So like I touched on before, guys, Google is definitely keeping users from your site, but we do have a few options. So when it comes to zero-click searches, let's first kind of go through a more specific example within the realm of podiatry. So if you search something like how to treat heel pain, this is a recent search I did before this webinar, just to give you guys a fresh sample. This is a zero-click search result. They give you the source of the website it's coming from, but they're trying to offer the answer without the user having to click through. Again, remember, Google's best interest is to keep you on their website, give you the best answer as fast as possible so you keep using them, interact with their ads. Well, what that's doing to independent businesses, big or small, is that it's keeping some users from reaching your site. Zero-click searches can appear in a wide array of search results. You'll find them across, like I've got outlined here, FAQs, step-by-step instructions, kind of like what we're seeing here, recipes, directions. You're going to find them varying across the board. Jump back here. So something that's important for you guys to understand here, though, is the depth and scope of zero-click searches. So these results are from a large-scale study conducted by SimilarWeb and SparkToro. They're just a couple independent agencies and research groups in the industry. So what they found in 2020, 65% of all Google search results ended in users not clicking on anything in zero-click searches, meaning users found their answer, they then left and conducted different searches on the web. So this is up basically 15% from 2019. So there's a big increase, and we're going to see this part of the graph continue to increase each year, I think. So we're going to see this get a lot more aggressive. Just 34% of the results were organic based. So that's basically someone conducts a Google search, they scroll down, click on your website. That was considered an organic click, and just about 2%, really 1.59%, were clicks from users clicking on ads. So even though the amount of users clicking ads is very small, it's still a huge revenue driver for Google. But as you can see, this zero-click deal is starting to really take up a lot of search revenue. So that's something we want to try and address here. Here's the thing with zero-click searches, and this is where it gets difficult, is that it's not guaranteed. Again, we're going to cover a couple key items here, but none of this is guaranteed, guys. So here, let's move this bubble again up to the upper right. So The problem is you can't just take a page you have on your current website and say, hey, I want this section to appear in the Google search results as a zero-click search option, and then it just appears. What we can do is basically game plan, strategize, put together the best piece of content possible for Google, use that piece of content to really drive a clear and concise format and story, and utilize schema markup. So let's run through some of these. So content plan. The whole thing with how Google determines zero-click searches is their algorithm indexes your website, indexes every single page, and they determine based on the layout of your page how it's formatted if they believe it's valuable to place in a zero-click search. So what you can do is you can at least start viewing what your top pages are. This is where the content plan is very valuable. We call them content workbooks internally, where we put together a scope of content that needs to be updated, revised, maybe new opportunities that we can write for to garner additional rankings. Whatever you call it, you need an outline of what your current content is and what some future planned content is. That way you have an understanding of where you can really bolster your content, and maybe you have opportunities for zero-click searches. So from that point, you then take one of your pages. So let's pretend you have a service page about heel pain. Just start searching heel pain in your area. If you see results for zero-click searches, you already know Google views that as a viable opportunity for you to get your page in place. Now, again, because it's not guaranteed, we also can't guarantee which searches are going to get zero-click results listed. It's growing every day. So if you search heel pain right now and there's no zero-click searches, that doesn't mean there's not an opportunity there. It just means that it hasn't come yet. Eventually, you could anticipate Google trying to offer a zero-click option on almost every search. I'm not going to say that's happening this year, but it's going to keep growing. The most important thing here, though, is if you've got a heel pain page, you need to have a very clear outline for formatting. If you've ever typed in a Word document in an email, especially on a website, they utilize something called headings. You'll see heading 1 all the way to heading 6. So they kind of help you formulate your article. Heading 1 is always the big title at the top. That big title is always the outline, right? It's always the outline of what your page is about. And then from that point, you use heading 2, heading 3 to really kind of break up your content as you build your story down below. It's important to use those. It's important to utilize bullet points. So you'll see here, Healthline, how can heel pain be treated? But yet if we jump to this page, I'll show you how they're really kind of divvying this up. So pay attention here to what Google is outlining from healthline.com, right? So they're saying the first point is rest as much as possible, and the numbering system starting with number 1. So if I pull up the healthline.com article, Google's literally polling underneath this bullet point of how can heel pain be treated. Like the page isn't even called this. This is just happens to be a specific heading on this page. And Google is stating that these are perceived as kind of the right steps to take. So what is happening here is Google is auto-indexing this page, and they're seeing rest as much as possible step 1. So they're literally displaying in the search results this is the first step with a number 1 here, even though on their website they're using standard bullet points. Google's literally even taking index portions of your site and updating it a little bit to kind of suit their needs in their search results. So this is just to give you an example of how Google's indexing this. If you've got a portion of your page where you think you can offer a targeted FAQ that you can answer in just a few hundred characters, or a very well formulated bullet point list following a question, that's how you can kind of give yourself an opportunity to get into zero-click search results. Something else that you have the option of is using schema markup. So schema markup, without getting into something overly technical, because schema markup can really be challenging, is it's essentially you're adding additional scripts of code to your page each specific page to tell Google more about it. So to give you an instance, all of our clients, what we'll do is every blog post has blog post markup. So what it does is it tells Google some more information about that blog post. It gives them just a quick route of the description, how it's integrated with the rest of the site, title, publish date. It's just an additional way to give more info. You can see schema markup as well, maybe for bio pages for individual physicians. You can use something called person markup to identify this page is about a specific person, outlining their title, their contact information. Again, it's just to give Google more context for that page. Now we're going to go into Core Web Vitals and the impact it can have on your website. So the thing with Core Web Vitals is, to boil down something complex, is it's really just about how the site loads. Now what I've got here are 3 options to start gauging how your site loads. So I'm just going to use Amazon.com, just a brand we all know and either love or hate, as our sample. So there's 3 main tools. Our preferred is GTmetrix, just because it's a third party. They're not directly tied to Google, so it's just nice to get a few varying opinions here, and you're going to see how these scores kind of vary through the different sources. And then once we get through these, I'll kind of outline some things to look for and to address to keep your Core Web Vital score and overall load time performing as best as possible. So GTmetrix, a reason why I prefer we use them is because they're independent. They're not really being influenced by anything. Their goal is to just give raw data. They give you a page speed score and grade, which is awesome. They give you kind of an outline of how long your site took to load. There's other tabs here that are useful. If you use this, I would click on Waterfall. Waterfall will literally give you a stream of what resources loaded on your website in which order. They're also letting us know for Web Vitals, again, we'll go through what these mean, but how we're performing. Page Speed Insights, this is a Google specific tool. Again, not bad. I feel like GTmetrix gives you a little bit more data to go off of to make changes, but Google Page Speed Insights is also useful, but you'll see there's a big difference here. We're getting a C from GTmetrix. We're getting a 28 out of 100, basically complete fail in Page Speed Insights. And then the third one is Pingdom. Pingdom, again, is just kind of a third-party independent one. Not quite as powerful to me as GTmetrix, but still useful just to get an additional input. And there's a big difference. We're getting a B here, fast load time. So it's useful to take all these 3 tools just to get a benchmark, right? Because every tool, every source is going to give you different inputs. So this is just useful to understand where we're at on the spectrum. So the thing with Core Web Vitals is it can get complicated or you can keep it easy. To keep it easy, the number one thing you can do is compress your images on your site. So let's pretend you take a photo with your cell phone. Let's say you've got a brand new iPhone, take a beautiful new photo of your office, upload it to your website. Well, by default, an iPhone photo might be 5 or 6 megabytes. Well, the thing is, on a website, 5 or 6 megabytes is a lot. If we go back to Pingdom, you'll see the entire homepage of Amazon was just 6 megabytes with all these images. So they're utilizing compressing software to reduce the size of these images to help with load time, especially if someone's on a slower cellular network. Maybe they're in a rural area. We don't want them to be hampered down with a long load time when visiting your site. So a few options you've got there is the premium route is to say, take your image, compress it in something like Adobe Photoshop, upload it to your website, and then on your website and on your server, you've got compression software to smush it. But of course, it's not always feasible, right? So if you're kind of a one-man band, so to say, and you guys are just trying to operate for free, what you could do is go to something like Pixlr.com. Pixlr, by the way, is just a free piece of software. There's plenty of others on the web you can find. It's a free photo editor. The whole point is you can upload something like that 6 megabyte file from your phone. And by the way, I think you need to be on desktop to use this, but you upload that file, you can edit it and reduce the file size all the way down to something like 250 kilobytes, which is going to be a lot more user-friendly. So if we come back here, that's kind of the easy route, is to make sure your images are compressed. The more advanced side of things, though, that at least we utilize on our servers, on our client sites, is a few different methods to make sure that we're taking extra pieces of code. We're essentially taking coding files and compressing them so they're served kind of in one load instead of your browser having to load each one individually, just to try and batch them together. Something that's also smart to utilize, this isn't available on every website platform, so you'll have to speak with your webmaster about these next two options, but lazy loading is essentially, if you're viewing the top of a website, it'll load that top of the website, and then when you start scrolling, only then will the browser load the rest of the images. That way it's not trying to load an entire page at once, it kind of loads it in sections as you scroll. Lastly, a big piece is server and browser caching. Basically, this is helping save a version of your website on the user's browser and on the server where your website is held to just serve resources a bit faster for the end user. You combine all these and you can really improve your overall score with Google when it comes to these Core Web Vital updates. So to end here, guys, something I really want to encourage, if you've got a website that's really struggling with a content plan that may not be able to take advantage of zero-click searches anymore, or is really suffering from Core Web Vitals, we're doing an offer right now through the end of the year where you can get a new website for just $4,000, guys. And every website we do, we include a content outline where it's going to be optimized for zero-click searches. It's going to have that schema markup involved that we talked about earlier, and it's going to be optimized for Google's Core Web Vitals update. Every site we do comes with compression, it comes with lazy loading, it comes with caching server-side and on the browser. So everything we talked about here today is covered in that on all of our websites. All you need to do, give us a call. You can jump to our website, reach out through our contact form, let us know you're interested, and we'd be happy to help you out.